Do 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 do.
I really hated that. Okay, well, here that was our nice cheesy intro. We hope you loved it as much as we do. But today we actually are not. What are you doing? We can hear ourselves. Oh my gosh, we can. Sorry. Um. So as I was saying, this doesn't look like our typical whack-a-mark video. This is not a sister reacts. Instead, we're doing something a little different today, a little bit new, and a little bit exciting. I also love how I'm on Whack-A-Mark's channel and I'm the one talking the most because, you know, I'm special. Anyways, so we are going to be ranking the Star Wars movies and shows today, correct? All shows? Just is Clone Wars on here?
Right, we're gonna make a rule right now that we are not ranking, we are not counting the seasons of the shows that are currently releasing. So at this time of recording, that includes Bad Batch season 2 and Mandalorian season 3.
So, if you couldn't tell by that, Whack-A-Mark is slightly obsessed with Star Wars, kind of has been all of his whole life, where I like it, but I'm not a hardcore fan. So basically, you see two tier lists right here. One is going to be his, one is going to be mine. Is yours going to be on the left? Mine will be on the right? Okay. So mine will be on the right, me, the tremendous old, younger sister, and then Whack-A-Mark, the tremendous older dude. And we'll have our tier list so you can see side by side of how ours are different, and it'll be really fun and so exciting, and you'll get to hear us talk a little bit more. It won't just be me, it'll be a little bit of discussion. So, did we decide to do it in chronological? Are we? So the same, we'll be ranking the same movie. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna hand it off to Whack-A-Mark, and we're gonna rank some movies. We hope you enjoy.
Alright, so we're starting off with episode 1, Phantom Menace. And it is going to go F to your terrible movie. It is. Maybe I am dying, you don't know that. Are you my doctor? I don't think so. You're not. Alright, Phantom Menace is going B tier because it's definitely was not looked fondly upon when it came out. But to be honest with you, the amount of world building in this movie makes up for the problems, and you got Darth Maul. And Liam Neeson is always a treat. Qui-Gon.
Oh, I don't know the actor's name.
Oh my gosh, she doesn't know the actor's names.
I just know the characters. I'm not a hardcore fan.
Okay, well anyway, I'm putting it in B tier because it can be kind of boring when you're starting it, but it has its moments that it needs.
Yeah, I wonder why people would think it's boring when you're starting it. Maybe you should be a little bit more excited about what you're talking about. Unlike Whack-A-Mark, I'm going to be a lot more enthusiastic. So, Phantom Menace for me, I probably should have thought this through beforehand, shouldn't I? I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go C. I think the sole reason I'm putting it at C is because, um, I agree with you. I think Darth Maul was the highlight of the movie, and it was at the pod race was a key scene that I remember we used to play with the Wii Lego game, which was fun. So, fond memories. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. Oh, sorry, I talk loud. You're very quiet. So, rip headphone users, I guess. But yeah, I think I'm gonna rank it as C. I didn't personally have as big a problem with Jar Jar as some people did. Um, but yeah, I think it wasn't the best, but I think it was a solid movie for like the kids target audience, and that's what they were going for. Yeah, I would say it's average. You didn't stick out to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good entertaining movie, but it's not my first choice. Next.
Next up, we got Tales of the Jedi. And this one, for me, a hardcore Star Wars fan and a hardcore prequel fan, is in Starkiller tier for me. May surprise some people, but I freaking love this show. Hope we get more of it, especially the Ahsoka episodes were good, but freaking Count Dooku. This is how you make a freaking backstory to a villain. I mean, in this show, he gets just less than an hour of time on screen, and yet they give him such a great backstory. And now he's one of my all-time favorite villains. So I'm hoping again we get more of this. This is good. Star Wars fans, watch this if you haven't seen it. Short and sweet. Starkiller tier for sure. All right, your turn.
That was so intense and for no reason at all. Did I just press a button? Did it affect something? Oh, you're gonna actually edit this one? Tremendous. Alright, so Tales of the Jedi, I would have to agree, was definitely very enjoyable. I think I'm gonna rank it at A. I don't know if it was quite Starkiller for me, but I liked the episodes being shorter. I feel like sometimes with like the Mandalorian things and things like that, yeah, we're just shifted one down. What? I'm harder to please. What can I say? But yeah, I think I liked the shorter episodes. For me, Count Dooku was cool, but I am a hardcore Ahsoka fan, so seeing her training with Anakin, seeing her training with Anakin, when those few episodes, and just seeing like her like origins, I guess in a way, that made the show for me. So I would give it an A. Nothing really to complain about, but I just don't feel like it moved me to Starkiller material yet. I feel like it was solid, but I wasn't quite.
All right, episode 2. Ugh. Let's see positives here. We get 2 points for Christopher Lee by default, and he's and Ewan McGregor and Christensen. Always love them. Honestly, the plot of this movie it's a setup movie. It's setting up. It's a good movie, but for me, it's definitely the weakest of the original 6 movies. Definitely the weakest of the prequel trilogy. The clones are awesome. I love the final battle in this one. It has one of the best endings. Although its lightsaber fight with Dooku, I don't think is that good at least compared to Darth Maul's fight, and many other of the prequel fights. So this one for me is gonna be C tier.
Wow, feels way too nice. All right, so what are you doing? Why are you holding it? You get to move yours around when you talk. No, you can move it around, but make it a little bit more exciting. Thank you. Um, so I would agree. I do not think this was the best of the Star Wars movies by any means. Not a huge fan of the whole romance plot. Kind of made me want to puke. It was a little too much in my mind, so I'm gonna give it a D. So I'm gonna give it a D. I think my reasoning, again, the whole like romance plot and everything, but I feel like it wasn't huge. Like there wasn't huge conflicts in anything that really made me feel a certain way. I mean, a highlight for all the prequels for me was Ewan McGregor. I think everyone can agree, love him. So I guess he kind of helped save the movie. So it's not a total fail for me, but Christopher Lee too, but he wasn't in it as much. So I give it a D. I think it's okay, but if it's on TV, I'll watch it. But it's not one I'm gonna actively be like, I'm in the mood for Attack the Clones. You know what I'm saying? Okay, next one.
Okay, next up we have the 2003 Clone Wars micro series. This one went on for 2 seasons. Fun fact: it was actually released between episode 2 and 3. So if you were alive and watching these when these were coming out, you'd see this lead right up to episode 3, which is pretty cool. Start first off, the animation. Some people criticize it. I'm not one of those people, and obviously this list is just our opinions. The fights are pretty awesome, and a freaking General Grievous, the scariest villain in Star Wars in this show. Terrifying. This show, Star Killer. I think that's all that needs to be said. The finale with Anakin 2, seeing that cool caveman drawing that like symbolized him becoming Darth Vader, one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. And of course, it is the Clone Wars Obi-Wan's voice actor, I forget his name, debut into Star Wars. That's always a plus. Alright, back to you.
Sorry, you keep handing it to me weird. Okay. Alright, so this is a little bit tricky for me just for the standpoint that I have not watched this series all the way through. I've only seen clips, so I technically can't put it and haven't seen it yet because I've seen enough to say that I have seen it, but I don't know it well enough. But I do have to say, from the clips I've seen, the villains are absolutely terrifying. You have Grievous, as Whack-A-Mark said, but to me, the creepiest is Ventress. She's just so, just ew. Like, she's, like, animalistic almost. Like, it creeps me out. Just like that, yeah. So I'm gonna say from what I've seen, I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna say I feel like I need to see it more, and I think the more I see it, the higher I'll be able to rank it. But I feel like I do not have enough information to properly rank it. So if you are a hardcore Star Wars fan, please do not pay attention to my tier list because it's just going off of what I've seen, and I don't want to get canceled. Okay, please, Star Wars fans, they go hard. I'm a little scared. Please do not come for me. Pay attention to Whack-A-Mark's list, not mine. Alright, with that being said, on to you.
I'm gonna be honest, I expected you to rank that as C at the highest, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Alright, oh dear. Oh no. Well, we have to get to this one, guys, so let's just make it quick. It's the Clone Wars movie. D tier. The good things about this one is it would probably be F, because the art style was not. We all know that the art style becomes freaking incredible when it reaches like peak Clone Wars. It is still incredible and still used, as we saw in Tales of the Jedi. But in 2008, it just wasn't there. The characters looked like blocks. The positives still look better than Minecraft. The positives are we have the introduction of Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex, two characters will become fan favorites, and they're just as likable in this as they are later on. Although, if you're one of those people who thinks Ahsoka was annoying, this is probably the reason why. In the beginning, in the first few seasons of Clone Wars, people really thought she was annoying. It wasn't until, like, I'm going to say around. If you couldn't hear her say that, her jaw just dropped. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people thought she was very annoying in the first few seasons, but they grew into her character as the show went on. And now she's a fan favorite. Alright, let's get this over with.
I'm gonna make this really short and simple. I have not seen it. I have not.
Have you seen the introduction of Ahsoka Tano?
No, I have not. I've just seen the Clone Wars. So, well, I'm pretty sure that's the reason I haven't seen it, because you told me it's terrible, and let's just skip through it. So, okay, well, yeah, I haven't seen it. Next.
Next. Clone Wars. This one is seasons 1 through 7. I'm a hardcore Clone Wars fan. I started watching this show when I was freaking 8 years old. Still love it as much as I did then. And it's clear to me that it is freaking ruling the tier list right now. You have freaking Ahsoka Tano in it. You have incredible performances from Obi-Wan and Anakin in it. Matt Lanter, who is underrated, he is just as good of an Anakin Skywalker as Hayden Christensen. And we have freaking what's his name, Darth Maul coming back, who I don't care what anyone else says, bringing him back was awesome, and Sam Witwer absolutely kills it in the role, making him from arguably the most disappointing Star Wars character to one of the best ones by far. So I mean, I have only downside I could really say about the show is it occasionally had some filler episodes. The first two seasons were a little rough around the edges, but they had their moments, and General Grievous just sucks. That's about it.
So, I strongly disagree with Whack-A-Mark when he says Darth Maul coming back was a great thing. That was not for me. That was not. I personally think after Phantom Menace he was dead. Um, but with that being said, I would still rank this as a star killer. I think Ahsoka Tano. I'm just like her biggest fan. I love Ahsoka, so anything with her is gonna be ranked high for me. But yeah, I loved the time period of the Jedi Order, and I think with Yodogs and um, Mace Windu, I liked it. I thought it was great. But yeah, I think it was Star Killer. As someone who's not like crazy obsessed with Star Wars and eats, sleeps, and breathes it, you could throw on any episode of Clone Wars and I'll watch it like happily. So it's easily a Star Killer rank for me. I think they did very well with the show, and I think that it's going to continue to be successful. Even though it's done, I think there'll be like generations younger that will still watch it, like the original movies. So, Star Killer, faux show.
Alright, up next we have episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Who honestly is surprised? F tier, terrible movie. No. It is freaking Star Killer tier. My personal favorite Star Wars movie. Definitely, even when I'm debating the best ones, it is at least in the top 3 at worst. And freaking awesome movie. The freaking bad guys win. It is straight up. That's always a plus in the movie. Those are the ones we all remember. Let's be real. Freaking all the performances in this movie are great. Even the ones that were start off to be like, oh no, it's the love story all over again. But then it becomes actually very important to the plot, and it's really good. Also, freaking Order 66 and the Rise of the Empire. And let's just take a moment to appreciate that freaking Ian McDermott as Palpatine absolutely steals the movie. This movie is his moment in Star Wars where he freaking wins. He sucks afterwards, but he wins. He does technically beat Yoda. You have to give him props. Barely dangles off the cliff, but he did it. Star Killer tier. Still personally a bit of bias, but Clone Wars is still leading the list, but episode 3 is just a teensy bit behind.
Alright, so as far as Revenge of the Sith goes, why are you looking at me like that? I would definitely say out of all of the Star Wars movies, this one's my favorite, so it has to go Star Killer for me. Above Clone Wars, I'd have to say. I really think Hayden Christensen, Ian McGregor, for me, stole the show. Obviously, Palpatine killed it, as he usually does. But I just think it's easily the most quotable Star Wars movie. Like, you can just pull out any sort of line from, like, I have the high ground, because it literally does in this tier list. But yeah, so quotable, so keeps your attention. Like, it's a long movie, but you could throw this movie on at any time, and I will watch it from start to finish. The music, the lyrics, the acting, if you want to talk about You Underestimate My Power, excluding that, acting is great. Yeah, I definitely would say this one. Star Killer, no questions asked. I know a lot of the prequels get hate, but this one's easily the best of the prequels, and if you disagree, then you're wrong. Okay, next.
Alright, next up we have the Bad Batch. So I want to remind people that I'm only counting season 1. Season 2 is currently still coming out. We just got the mid-season finale a few weeks ago. So Bad Batch, as a hardcore Clone Wars fan, I was super looking forward to this show because they had their first arc at the end of Clone Wars. Um, that arc honestly didn't impress me that much, though. The show, I wasn't actually. I take back what I just said. I wasn't looking that forward to it. I was looking forward to it in the sense that it was a sequel to Clone Wars. And for the first season, it's definitely good, but I just feel like the show is not there yet. It just hasn't found its right place yet. Now, with that said, it definitely has a lot of things going for it. D. Bradley Baker as all the clones, voicing the almost the entire main cast in this show. Man, freaking kills it. And the question is, would I say it's better than episode one? I'm gonna have to say it is, but only because of the first episode. It has its moments, but it also has its filler episodes. So I feel like with time, this show could definitely pull off an A or even a Star Killer tier. But for now, it's sitting comfortably in the B tier.
Okay. Um. So yeah, I haven't seen this yet. um. I haven't seen it more. um. Yeah, I've heard good things about the show. I feel like there's kind of mixed feelings around it from what I've heard. But I haven't seen it, so I can't properly rate it. So that's all there's from me on that one. Please don't come for me.
All right, Solo. Give him a high B. I like Snow. It's bordering A and B. I'm gonna give it an A tier. It definitely has its moments where it feels very average, and it has that issue that some movies have where there's not many stakes because the main character isn't gonna die as he's in all the other movies. But it still has a lot of good things going for it. Freaking Lando is hilarious in this. Chewie's awesome. And I forget his name, whoever plays Han Solo. At first, I was not a fan of him, but as the movie went on, he definitely grew into the shoes of being a Harrison Ford successor. So I'm all for it. I think he did pretty good. And for me, the highlight was definitely Woody Harrelson, though. Man steals the show as he usually does. So, A tier for me.
So, as far as Solo goes, I feel like once it first came out, it got a ton of backlash, which I didn't quite understand because I personally take it out of F. I personally really like this movie. I'm also gonna put it in A. I I liked it better than Tales of the Jedi. Personally, I thought it was very simple, very well done, very easy to follow along if you were not, already knowledgeable about Star Wars. I thought it was. I honestly really liked it. I know some people had a problem. I didn't have a problem with the actor. I thought the guy who played Lando was great as well. Um, as Whackmark said, Woody Harrelson, obviously MVP for this whole movie because he kills it like he usually does. Um, the whole betrayal scenario just seemed to fit very well. Not to mention the was it confirmed it was Darth Maul at the end of that? Yes. Also, the reappearance of Darth Maul. I'm not a fan. The fact that he's alive, I really don't like it. But if they can incorporate it in a interesting way, I am open to it. But yeah, I really like this movie. I didn't understand why it got a lot of backlash, but A tier for me for sure.
Alright, next up is Kenobi. Alright, this one's a complicated one. Is the show perfect? No. Does it have William McGregor? Yes. Does it have Hayden Christensen? Yes. Does it have. Was it meant to be a movie? Yes. It actually was. Should it have been a movie? Absolutely. Because I'd say around episode 4, that temple episode was totally unnecessary. They could have cut that episode out and had just third sister track him to the base. That's my only major gripe with the show. I feel like the was a little dragged out around the middle. With that said, the freaking fight between Obi-Wan and Vader is one of my all-time favorites, and that moment of "you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker" is one of my all-time most favorite and all-time most haunting moments in Star Wars. So I'm gonna have to give it A tier for that. But again, personal bias, I could totally see if someone were put to say put it in B. As far as other things go, Grand Inquisitor was alright. I guess another downside, I thought he was done pretty dirty, especially for the cunning villain we see in Rebels. He's kind of a joke in this. Third sister, honestly, she was just second sister but worse. So I have to make that clear. But she was alright.
Alright, so I would like to preface by saying I know there is talk about a possible second season, and Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen said they would be open to it. And while I love Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen as their roles, and I would die to see them in it again, I feel like Kenobi season 2 is just not. It just doesn't make sense to me. But with that being said, I have to put it at Star Killer personally for me. I feel like I'd keep it where it is, just like that. I feel like this might be my nostalgic feeling speaking, but the fight between Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor as their roles again was just like amazing. I thought the actress who played Little Leia absolutely to the T. Um, I really liked it. I thought it was very entertaining. I really liked the third sister. I thought she did her job. I thought she did what she needed to do. I thought she was a good villain. She wasn't Palpatine by any means, but she was interesting enough to be going after Kenobi the way she was, and I liked her backstory and how they incorporated that. So yeah, I think Kenobi. The reason I'm placing it so high just is for nostalgic value, but I definitely would say it's Star Killer, and I would watch it anytime. However, I am not game for season 2. I think they left it how they needed to leave it, and I think that is good enough, you know? Hello there, goodbye there. On to the next one.
Alright, up next we have Andor. As a huge Jason Bourne fan, I can confidently say if you love Star Wars and Jason Bourne, this one is for you. I freaking thought this show was amazing. I'm looking forward to season 2. It is above Tales of the Jedi, but only because of how short Tales of the Jedi is. Can't wait for season 2. It's just awesome.
Please don't come for me and please don't hate me, but I have not seen Andor yet. I have not gotten around to seeing it. Please. All the Star Wars fans are gonna cancel me so bad for my tier list, I swear. Well, okay, I haven't seen it yet for the sole reason. Okay, I've seen the first episode. I've seen the first episode of the show, and from what I can tell by the first episode, it was great. But I haven't seen the whole thing yet. But I loved Rogue One, so love Cassian, so I'm sure it's gonna be great. But yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Please don't come for me. I am so sorry. I will get right on it.
No, you won't. She's lying to you guys.
What?
Don't fall for it. Alright, Star Wars Rebels. Another complicated one to judge. I have to give it an A, but it honestly it is a B. I'd say overall, but I'm giving it an A because it is a show that overall is carried by its best moments, which are quality over quantity, to put it lightly. Freaking Ahsoka versus Vader is one of the most emotional fights in Star Wars. Could make my sister cry, and she never cries. It's the truth though, and yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. She's denying it, guys. It's okay. Apparently I'm wrong, but I'm right. Don't tell her. So also we got freaking Darth Maul's exit from Star Wars. He gets an even better death than his original. I didn't think that was possible, but they pulled it off. And again, Sam Witwer returning as Maul, awesome as always. He gets his double sabers back. Well, I guess he did at the end of Clone Wars, but I'm someone who's watched Rebels long before season 7 came out, so it's almost like a after Rebels fact for me. What else do I have to say about Ezra? Yeah, not huge on him, but I am looking forward to seeing him most likely turn up in the Ahsoka show. I think that's going to be great. If that is truly going to be a sequel to Rebels. That would be awesome. Grand Admiral Thrawn, love him. Can't wait to see him in live action. I think he was a little bit inactive for the first half of season 3 that he was in, but he came back with a vengeance when he destroyed Chopper Base later on. So hopefully we get to see Captain Pelion too. So I'm a good old Legends fan. Hopefully we get to see more of him because he was mentioned in the final episode. Anyway, A tier for me.
So for me, I think I've seen Rebels all the way through like once, so I'm a little rusty on it. I'm really just causing Star Wars fans to hate me even more the more I go through this list. But I'm gonna put it at B. I think I really liked the dynamic between Ahsoka and Vader. Like I said, I love Ahsoka. Yeah, I'd put it above. Um, well, I haven't seen the other one all the way through. I've just seen clips, so don't come for me for the old Clone Wars. But I think Rebels, I really liked Ahsoka and Vader. Their final fight, I can't watch. It's terrible. No, it doesn't make me cry. Stop doing that. You look deranged. Anyways, yeah, I liked Kanan a lot. I think he was a really cool character. And Ezra, like I said, or as Wackamerk said, he was a good, solid character, but he wasn't my favorite by any means. But yeah, I liked the addition to Clone Wars, and I think it was a solid series overall. Not many complaints, and if it's on, watch it again. Next one.
All right, Rogue One. Honestly, anyone who watches Rogue One knows which tier this one's going in. We're putting this one in Starkiller tier. Better than that. I'm gonna say yes. It's a real fight for which one of these two goes first, but I'm giving it to Rogue One just because of that Vader scene. The plot of this movie was awesome. The actors were all awesome, and Andor is only making this movie better as this movie makes Episode 4 better. The whole final act of the movie on Scarif and the battle over it is still phenomenal. Again, it does have that weakness of that they're gonna get the plans and all that, but it's still, I mean, everyone freaking dies, so there's that. But yeah, all in all, freaking Star Killer tier movie, awesome, and Krennic too. Probably the best original villain under Disney Star Wars yet. Hopefully, we get to see him in Andor.
I would agree. Rogue One is definitely Star Killer tier. I would put it, right there. I loved K2SO. I think he made the movie for me when he got destroyed. That was a little rough. Yeah, that was a heart-wrenching moment. But as far as characters go, tremendous characters. Acting was phenomenal. Great villains, great backstory. You kind of know watching this movie that the character's gonna die, so you don't get too attached, but you get attached enough that it matters and the plot is cool, and I think it really enhances Episode 4 in a way that I think as people for like older generations, it probably adds to it that much more. So I would say this is definitely one of the better movies I think Disney has done. It felt like a Star Wars movie, like sometimes they don't give the whole Star Wars atmosphere. This one really did. It really, I think, succeeded in every aspect. So, Star Killer for me, no questions asked.
Alright, here we come full circle now to New Hope. King of A tier. It's the original. The acting doesn't always hold up the best when you watch it nowadays, but this is the movie that started everything. This wouldn't exist without it. We have still great performances from then unknown actors: Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford. I said Mark Hamill, and whatever the video will tell us. But at that time, we also had great performances from Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan and Peter Cushing as Tarkin. Can't forget those. course, Darth Vader's debut into Star Wars. It was the debut of Star Wars, but all in all, King of A tier movie. I just think there are some things that have surpassed it since then.
I would agree. I think that it is definitely, since it's the origins of Star Wars, you have to rank it high. But I think I'm gonna go with it as the highest in my B tier. Just I think it's great, but like Wackamark said perfectly, I think we have things now that have beaten it as far as story wise goes, and I think this is like the foundation of Star Wars, so you need it, and I think it was monumental for its time. But growing up with the Clone Wars and seeing Rogue One and Revenge of the Sith, those all sort of top it for me. So, but again, you wouldn't have any of these without the original, so this one has to be solid rank. So I'm giving it a solid B, just because of, since it's like the basics of all Star Wars, you need it, and it's a solid movie for its time. So B for show.
Alright, that brings us to episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Again, anyone with brain cells will know which one this is going to. Freaking Star Killer tier. That's F movie, terrible. Where's the E tier for The Empire? Who's the idiot who made this thing? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm being deceived. Haven't seen it.
What?
So, yeah, freaking Empire Strikes Back. The only movie that I feel like, along with Rogue One and Revenge of the Sith, that you could really argue for being best contender. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite, but honestly, I can still. It's hard to go against the argument that 5 is objectively the best Star Wars movie we have to date. So, it's Star Killer just for that. Perhaps the greatest plot twist of all time, even though we've known it our whole lives. I am your father. Can't get old. Some of Vader's best moments, such as his demotion of the Admiral. Gotta love it. And first appearance of the Emperor if you're starting from episode 4. Alright.
Yeah, episode 5, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely timeless. Star Killer for sure. I'm gonna put it above Clone Wars. I mean, it's Han Solo being stuck in was it carbonite, right? And just the total cliffhanger of the movie, and the fact that the bad guys actually win, I think was kind of very different for its time. I think a lot of the movies, and even though there wasn't many sci-fi, yeah, the Empire did indeed strike back. You are correct. I think there wasn't a lot of movies at this point in time where bad guys actually won, and the fact that it was left off on a cliffhanger, I think, was just, there were so many things about this movie that were so different and really kind of affected the film industry as a whole, I would say, as well as the plot and the most famous line in like maybe all of cinematic history, "I am your father." Clearly timeless, objectively probably better than Revenge of the Sith, but as far as my favorites go, this one clearly Star Killer. And if you're a Star Wars fan and you don't say it's Star Killer, I'm gonna have a few questions for you.
Are you out of your mind? Alright, episode 6. Obviously, this one is definitely, you could make an argument for being A or B, because it's a perfect ending, if not a perfect movie, but I would be lying if I said I didn't freaking love everything, almost everything about this movie. Some people love them teddy bears. I don't quite know where I stand with them, but I love it. Freaking Emperor, Vader, and Luke freaking hard carry this movie. It's freaking incredible. Also got the great space battle over Endor with perhaps the greatest death in all of Star Wars. Admiral Piet. Intensify forward firepower. Too late. Can't get enough of that death. Whoever knew who that A-Wing pilot was, I need to shake his hand in his coffin. I'm telling you, it didn't look like he got out of that one. So let's see here. It can't say it's the best, though, obviously. There are things that are better, but it is the definitive Star Wars ending. I don't care what anyone says. 9 will not be in the room. And to be honest here, it is an ending that should never have been undone, so shame on you, Disney. Just gonna say that.
All of yours in Star Killer.
Yeah, this one definitely belongs in Star Killer. Put it right behind Andor. Yeah, I know. Alright.
Alright, so episode 6, I would definitely say also Star Killer. I would put it above Rogue One. Yeah, in between. Yeah, I agree. I really liked the conclusion of this. I liked how they brought back the deceased characters in the hologram form at the end. I thought that was a nice little happy ending. Contrary to what a lot of people say, I really did like the Ewoks. I thought they were funny, and I thought their noises that they made were just hilarious. So I know some people thought they were stupid, and as if these Star Wars fans didn't have any more reason to cancel me. I did like the Ewoks a lot. Um, the whole conclusion with the Emperor, Darth Vader, and Luke, 10 out of 10. Um, the whole original cast, though, I mean, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, solid. Still, like, you can argue they're timeless. Like, I feel like it's just a solid movie. It wraps up the first trilogy. First trilogy made, sorry. Um, yeah, solid movie, solid plot. No complaints, really, I think. Easily Star Killer material.
Well, as if we didn't have enough Star Killers, we got Mandalorian, which, I'm sorry, but it's going in Star Killer. Honestly, I was not sure what to think when I heard the show was coming out. I was like, they better not screw this up because I'm a hardcore Mandalorian fan. Obviously, being a Clone Wars fan, you can expect that. Um, I don't care what people say. The show wouldn't have existed without Clone Wars. Well, you guys know it. I'm going to give it right comfortably behind Empire Strikes Back. It is really good. It has some really great moments. Pedro Pascal, awesome as Mando. Gotta love him. Yeah, and all around it's pretty good. The Empire are back in it. Makes them good. Those freaking Dark Troopers are in it. They're awesome. You got Ahsoka Tano's debut in live action. Bo-Katan's debut in live action. There's a lot of stuff to love here from a Star Wars fan's perspective.
Yeah, I think I'm also gonna go Star Killer. I think I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put it in between Rogue One and Episode 6. Um, I love Mandalorian. I think it's a solid show for anyone who watches Star Wars. Baby Yoda is freaking adorable, and if anyone says anything otherwise, I will hunt you down. Um, exactly. Um, yeah, I love Pedro Pascal as Mando. I think he kills the part of acting Mandalorian as someone who didn't know much about the Mandalorian and just that whole sort of thing before the show came out. I think knowing more about it now, he kills the role, and I think Ahsoka in live action, absolutely outstanding. It's about time. Um, yeah, the show's solid. I feel like each season you can kind of say it just gets better and better, which I don't think you can say with a lot of things. So, the third season is currently streaming. We've seen the first episode, so we won't have any spoilers, but you should definitely go watch it if you haven't already. Because season 1 and 2 are so good. I really thought it was cool how they brought in Luke with the whole CGI thing, and um, yeah, overall, Star Killer for sure. Um, yeah,
Alright, next up we have Book of Boba Fett. This one might surprise people. I'm going to put it bottom of B tier. I liked it, but it definitely, I just didn't feel like it was very, I didn't really know what it wanted to be, because the main plot ends up being probably the most boring plot in the show. I loved the whole Tusken plot. I loved Cad Bane. I wish we got more of him before you pierced his heart. Um, and again, Tamora Morrison is Boba Fett, reprising his role from Jango Fett. Love him. Fennec Shan, pretty awesome. Still stabbing more of those fools in the back. But aside from that, the Pikes were good villains, but I don't think they can really carry a series like this because they are, at the end of the day, they're just gangsters. Which, let's be real here, Star Wars fans honestly care more about the Hutts than they do the Pikes. So, yeah, I'm going to have to put it at B tier, sadly. But it had potential. It has some good moments, just some also pretty average moments.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett I would put behind episode 4 in B tier. Um, I would say, I think, to me, it was kind of season 2.5 of The Mandalorian more than anything. Um, I would agree. I don't know if the show really knew what it wanted to be. It was a solid show. I just kind of wish we got more of Boba Fett. You know, I feel like it started off, we started getting some backstory, we started getting some of him, but I feel like it didn't feel very Boba Fett ish to me. I guess if that makes sense. Like it just don't combine those. I couldn't think of something else to say. Don't say that. Um, I didn't feel like it. Stop. Don't do that. It didn't feel Boba Fett like. Okay, that makes you feel any better. Yeah, I thought it was a solid show. But yeah, I kind of when the Mandalorian came in, I was a little confused as to what was happening. Um, but yeah, I mean, solid show. I was kind of hoping for more, but I can't really complain. I still think it was enjoyable.
Alright, next we come off to Resistance, and I'm just going to save us some time here. Neither of us have seen that show, nor do I ever plan on it. It is, I've heard nothing good about it, and honestly, from like the previews I've seen and the people I've asked, just not much happens. It's kind of boring from what I hear, so I'm going to have to take a hard pass on that one. So, next up we have episode 7. We're starting the sequel trilogy. Oh, here we go. Episode 7. Low A. I like episode 7. It definitely had the biggest issue with it and why it can never be Starkiller is that the plot is essentially recycled New Hope. Now, with that said, I enjoyed when this movie came out. I loved all the new characters they introduced, aside from General Hux. And yes, I was one of those people that liked Kylo Ren, and I still do. He is the best part of the sequel trilogy for me. And Adam Driver, freaking awesome. Supposedly, we're getting a Kylo Ren movie not coming up soon, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, very fun. Harrison Solo's death still hits hard, and had a pretty solid ending. Next,
Episode 7 for me. Where do you think I'd put episode 7? Yes, I'd put it right there. I think it was a solid start. My biggest complaint, though, is it was so similar to A New Hope. I feel like if they were going to go, somewhere with this sequel trilogy, which you'll quickly find out as Wackamark and I rank these movies, we're not the biggest fans. But I think, if they were setting themselves up for a successful sequel, I feel like they would have started it in a bit of a different way. I was rewatching it and I felt like I was watching New Hope again with just different characters, which, is fine because New Hope obviously is a classic, but, when you're going for another movie, you're kind of hoping for something more. And um, I felt like another thing, too, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was how Rey had so much power right off the bat. New Hope, you kind of had Luke kind of like still as like a whiny kid, which could be annoying, but it was realistic. Where Rey just seemed to kind of know everything already, which didn't make sense. As the sequel movies go on, they have an explanation, but that still is confusing to me. It doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I'd give it a solid B, but yeah, I'm not too crazy about this one. Solid start, but yeah, I wish it was a bit more creative. And also for this next movie, The Last Jedi, you guys might wanna buckle up, get strapped in, because Wackamark has some pent up anger toward this movie, so brace yourselves.
not my Star Wars. No. No. It saves itself from F with having probably some of the best effects in any Star Wars movie. I'll give it that. Very pretty effects wise. So all those people did a really good job. That's all my things I have to say good about it. The plot of this movie sucks. it pretty much undoes a lot of what makes Star Wars Star Wars. Luke Skywalker would never have made the decisions he made, without spoilers, in that movie, nor would the First Order be so incredibly stupid as they are in that movie, not able to catch four little ships. No more spoilers. Especially if they knew how to use freaking hyperspace. And also the stupid hyperspace weapon. That's not how hyperspace works. Alright, my rant's over. To be honest here, if you like this movie, I'm happy for you. Happy you found enjoyment out of it, but sadly, I cannot watch this movie and take it seriously as Star Wars. It ain't my Star Wars. Hashtag that or something, I don't care.
Hashtag that. Let's make that a thing. Hashtag not my Star Wars. For me, Last Jedi, I think I'm gonna go with C. Phantom Menace is still above it in my mind. It wasn't bad. No, no, put that down. That's no. It wasn't bad. I didn't have as big of a problem with it as some people did. I kind of understood they were trying to go with a different approach, but I feel like with the sequel, it was just kind of everywhere. They were bouncing writers back and forth. There wasn't really a clear picture, and I feel like that's kind of clearly reflected in the movies. Um, my biggest complaint about this movie that I will never understand is how the heck Princess Leia was able to fly through space. That boggles my mind. Every time I watch that scene, I have to face palm. There's just no way, and I will never be able to understand. Um, I think the acting was good for what the actors were given. I liked Snoke, so when he kicked it, and unlike Mark, I'm spoiling everything. That didn't make sense. If they were building up something for him just for him to die, I was a little confused by that, and the movie after really didn't answer that question for me. So, so I would say this is a C. It's enjoyable if you like that sort of thing and you just like sci-fi, but in regards to the rest of the whole Star Wars franchise, it left me a little bit confused as an audience member.
Alright, now let that one over with. Episode 9. So, Episode 9, is it that good of a film? I have to say no. It has the same issues, debatably even worse than Last Jedi when it comes to a lack of direction, because it's bouncing all over the place with the directors switching here. It really shows that they just didn't have a plan. So, with that said, though, Episode 8 left it with literally nowhere to go. So, I tend to have a slight soft spot for this movie, but the best I can say is put in C tier. It just what I like is I like the stuff, the idea of the Force dyad between Rey and Kylo Ren. That's a cool idea. Some of the fights they have in the movie are decent, like the fight on the Death Star. I thought was pretty good. And Emperor coming back, it's always great to see Palpatine, but he shouldn't have come back. His death in Episode 6 is his death. I don't care what nobody says. He died there. He went boom.
Alright, so as far as episode 9 goes, I feel like to me it was the most different out of the bunch just because of the fact that, like Mark said, it really wasn't put that away. It really wasn't left with much direction. I'm gonna, what? Put that out of Star Killer. That doesn't make any sense. Please do. I'm gonna put it in the C range above Last Jedi. I used to say this one was my favorite out of yeah. I used to say this one was my favorite out of the sequels, but I after the ending, I cannot bring myself to do that. Raylo shippers, no offense to you, that was dumb. It was so stupid. Wasted like 5 minutes of my life. I didn't need to see them dying back and forth and all that. That was too much for me. I'm not gonna get that time back. And another thing after watching this movie that I immediately was not fond of was the fact that they brought the Emperor back, which they had teased in the trailer, which I never really thought about the fact that it kind of undoes what the previous movies did. The Emperor coming back kind of defeats, Anakin slash Darth Vader's whole purpose of being the chosen one. And I think, I love Palpatine. I love him as a villain. He's great. You never can get enough of him. But he's dead. Like saying he is a clone, but the whole balance to the Force, it's an imbalanced Force again after this whole movie. So yeah, it's a C, solid. It can be enjoyable if you're not hardcore into the Star Wars story, but for me, it just was not special. Sorry if that offends you.
And last but not least, we have a show we've never seen, which will be Visions. I've never seen it. Don't know. Yeah, it's out, and I have no real interest in watching it. Just not my style. But yeah, that's our tier list. Mine is clearly the right one, but this is the other one over here. These are the Star Killers, though. Yeah, they are. Anyway. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe we'll do more of these.
Comment down below what tier what tier list you want to see us do next. It can be anything. It can be Lord of the Rings movies, it can be Star Wars characters, it can be video games, video game characters, whatever you guys want to see, comment below. We'll rank if you guys like this type of stuff. Stop punching the desk. Why do you have anger issues? Knock on wood. Sorry. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll hand it back to Whack and Bark, and he'll close us out for the day.